loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.
I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. COVID has really allowed me to meet people that probably I would not have gotten the opportunity to. And one such person right now, through a website I discovered about a year or more ago now, podcastguest.com, is Regina Lark. Now, this is Making It Last podcast. I'm your host, Nurin Deer. It's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people. Now, I've been introduced to different labels for things that I'm accustomed to. Now, Regina is going to talk about something that's called emotional labor. So, what we're going to be talking about this time around, what is emotional labor, and how can this help to foster positive relationships? Now, Regina is an author, and she's going to tell us about her last of 3 books that just came out. Tell us about the book, Regina, and then let's get into
Thank you,
our
Noreen.
conversation.
It's a real pleasure to be with you today. So the title of my book is called Emotional Labor, Why a Woman's Work is Never Done and What to Do About It. And it begs 2 questions. What the heck is women's work? And why is it never done?
What triggered that though? You know, why write a book about it?
Well, I think I shared with you before that 13 years ago, I was laid off from a job at UCLA. I have a PhD in women's history. I finished a PhD in women's history. I worked at UCLA. And when I was laid off, 2 months later, a girl's got to eat. So I started this business. I started organizing, thinking I'm going to do this until something better comes along. Nothing has. Anyway.
Okay.
So I'm now working as an organizer, learning how to support myself and be self-employed. And I'm working with women clients who call me up. They invite me into their home to help them clear out the crap and the clutter and the mess. These houses, just a big mess. And client after client, females, they would talk to me about how much shame they felt, how depressed they felt, how angry they were at themselves, how lazy they felt, because they were not able to keep up with the household tasks. And I'm listening to them. And in my work as an organizer, I did a lot of coursework and training, understand the brain better. Because if somebody told me, well, fold it this way, I will always fold it that way. And I learned it's because I have good time management skills. So I'm meeting clients with terrible time management skills, or they have a big to-do list and nothing gets checked off. So I'm hearing 2 things. I'm hearing my female clients talk about their shame in not being able to maintain the household. And I'm learning about the brain and how the brain doesn't allow a lot of people to take care of the household because of just how they're wired. So now here we have this formula, a woman's work. And Noreen, the work of the household is, it requires a lot of cognitive functioning. It requires your ability to be on task, on time. You have to get the food on the table. You have to get the groceries bought. You have to get the laundry folded. You have to water the lawn. You have to clean up dog poop. You have to feed the baby. You have to change diapers. I mean, all of these tasks some of them are simple unto themselves, but they require cognitive functioning.
Yes.
Well, if there's
Yes.
somebody dealing with depression or anxiety or any kind of executive function problems, the executive function part of our brain got us here on time today. If you're experiencing those types of problems and you're a female, you're not going to measure up to the ideal. So here I am working as an organizer, and I remember having a conversation with Sylvia. And Sylvia's telling me how lousy she felt about herself because her house was a mess. And I sat there on the floor with her and I said, Sylvia, just because you're female doesn't mean you're supposed to know how to do all of this. And she looked at me and she was starting to tear up. No one had ever told her that before.
Wow.
And then I kept hearing story after story after story after story. It wasn't men, it wasn't my male clients who were telling me they feel shame. The male clients were like, just get rid of it. The women are thinking about legacy. They're thinking about the kin work that they do. But this was my grandmother's. Do you know what I mean? Women tend to have a different thought process about legacy and holding on and, beautiful embroideries, the crafting works that our sisters and grandparents had done over the years that were passed down. The women just have a very different way of viewing the stuff in their household. But if they're not wired like me, very linear. I look at, this is my to-do list. I write it down, I cross it off.
I'm like that too.
That's what I do. Most people who need somebody like me in their life, they don't have that ability. They are very well-meaning, but they're easily distracted. When the baby is crying, and you have to also sit down and pay your gas bill. Those are two things competing for your attention. So when I think about this concept of emotional labor is the unseen, the invisible, the unpaid, the unacknowledged work that women do in the home and in the paid workplace.
Is it strictly a female phenomenon then, based on what you've observed, or at some points males experience this also?
There are men that do this. There are men that do this. Okay. I don't think it's statistically relevant yet. It's like, so what? Men that do this, I think more men need to understand that they need to be an equity partner at home. Too many guys help instead of owning the task. Too many guys will say to their wives, what do you want help with? If you would just tell me what you want help with. And she's thinking, how come you don't see it? She's thinking, if you're asking me to help, that means it's still my job. Will you just take the job? What do you mean help with laundry? Just be in charge of the laundry. Don't ask me to help with the laundry. We all wear clothes. Laundry has to happen all the time. Why don't you do all the laundry? Why don't you mop all the floors, clean all the toilets? That's your job now. You're not helping me do it. That's your job. So too many guys that I've seen asked to help, which is lovely, but my gosh, that's even more of a burden on her, because now she's got to think, well, what do I need help with? I need help with everything. How do I tell him you know what I mean? It becomes stupid, and they argue. And then he calls her a shrew or a nag, and she just retreats.
Yes. A lot of times on this podcast, you don't necessarily hear new concepts or new things. You probably just get the label of some things that you've always known. Emotional labor might just be one of them, but most importantly, with this knowledge, what then are you using to change what is? We're going to continue the conversation after this break when we get a word from our partners.
Are you looking for one of a kind products customized to suit your needs? Then shop at Trending Things, the place where customization is always an option. From personalized gifts to apparel, accessories, drinkware, and home decor, you name it, we make it. Get your favorite designs on any item for party favors, weddings, graduations, or any special occasion, all at affordable prices. What are you waiting for? Visit our website at trendingthings.com to order your trendy item today. Trending Things, bringing creativity to the things you love.
Are you struggling to become an effective communicator? Let Noreen Daly, the communications specialist, get you there. Services include communications consultancy, one-on-one coaching, public speaking and debate training, leadership and team building sessions, plus much more. Visit noreendaly.com for more info. Noreen Daly, redefining the way you communicate.
Photography is an art, but more so, photography must come from the heart. Precious moments, priceless times. Take a pic and know it will turn out fine. For beautiful captures, email us at bmcphotographyja@gmail.com or call us at 876-350-7089. BMC Photography JA. Beautiful moments captured.
So, the whole idea of a branding strategy sounded so exotic and so fancy to me. But after having several conversations with Neon, I now have a clearer understanding. I am sure of what my identity is, what it is that I want people to see Noreen Daly as. Thanks, Neon. Thanks, Splint.
Visit them at wearesplint.com.
So many things impact our relationships. Is emotional labor one of them? Let's continue the conversation. You've spoken specifically in regards to what happens at home. How then do you see this transcending even into the workplace? Since more often than not, well, I can't even say it's equal, because more often than not, it is the men who are in management or in the leadership roles more often than not. So how do you see this concept then, transcending into what happens at work, which is where we end up spending most of our time?
So here's a quick story. Before World War I, men dominated the corporate spaces. Men were there, they had formal jobs that were called secretaries and typewriters. That was their job.
Okay.
Okay. Their relationship to their male boss resembled a father-son relationship. I will show you how I made it to the top. When World War I broke out and all those men left paid corporate work to go to war, women fled. They ran into the corporate spaces because they too wanted to be secretaries and typewriters. But the structure of the workplace changed. It was no longer a father-son relationship. It resembled more of a wife-husband relationship. Will you make the coffee? Will you pick up my dry cleaning? I understand Larry's mother died. Will you send around the sympathy card? So the tasks, the emotional labor tasks of the paid workplace also fall on the shoulders of women.
Oh.
It takes everything for a female to say, you know what? Make your own damn coffee. I want someone to make me a cup of coffee. Two other things I want to say about that. One, as women entered the paid workforce after World War I, And then in big, huge numbers after World War II and to today, what I find so interesting is that the formal workplace hours are 9 to 5, pretty much, more or less. School is 8 to 3. Now, how silly is that? We still expect women to be the primary caretakers at home. They're in the paid workforce. So now they have to scramble to get care from 3 to 5. You know, I mean, it's that we haven't adjusted school hours to meet the workplace is mind-boggling to me. The other thing, the final
go ahead.
thing I want to point up is this. Prior to COVID, if a female employee asked her boss, you know what, I would like some flex time. I would like to work from home this week. The boss says, well, you know, it doesn't look like you're very serious about your job. And look what has happened.
Yep.
Work from home is now an acronym. We did pretty well, right? Business was good for me. Corporate America landed in our living rooms, in our dining rooms, and if you didn't have any privacy in your bathroom. So again, you know, we have this new model now out of necessity, but when women were asking for it for the last 50 years, they were seen as not as serious about their work.
This I'm sure is somebody's saying, you know, this is really not new. Yes, you've labeled it as emotional labor, but it's a reminder of what is. How then can we fix, and I use that term loosely, how then can we fix this or just help to foster a change so that this does not continue to be what is?
Well, I think we have to start at the individual level. And so within our own household, I suggest 2 things. One, the 2 adults in the household, just go to separate parts of the house and write down everything you do for the household. Just write down everything you do. Don't have any filters, don't label or judge it, just write it all down and then compare. And then see what can be offloaded to the other person or see what no longer has to be done. The person with the very, very long list needs to offload some of that list.
Yes.
The other thing I would recommend in the private sphere is to engage in the practice of radical delegation. Radical delegation as opposed to traditional delegation. In traditional delegation, we delegate to the person who's best suited to the task, right? Radical delegation is give somebody the task regardless of whether they're good at it, if the task just has to get done. Because I get a lot of husbands say, she's better at the laundry. And I'm saying, watch YouTube. You get better at the laundry. She's not better at the laundry because she has a particular body part. She's better at the laundry because that's been her social expectation for her whole life.
Yeah.
It's almost so I like the idea of a couple really looking at the tasks of the household and what needs to be offloaded to the other person. Or if neither one really wants to do it, then how do you outsource it or just stop doing it? You've got to have those very, very real conversations. You have to, if you want to have a happy home life.
I just wonder sometimes though, just how open people are to having those real conversations, though, Regina.
That's why divorce is 1 in 50, 1 in 2.
Yeah, because those conversations can be difficult. Yeah.
You know, it's a perception. If you think it's going to be difficult, it's going to be difficult. If you think it's going to be joyful and rewarding, joyful and rewarding. I mean, If we walk into a situation going, this is going to be hard, guess what?
That's true.
It's going to be hard.
Perception. Mm-hmm.
Perception for me is everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Outside in the paid workplace, we can encourage men in the corporate setting to take advantage of paternity leave so that they're home for 6 to 8 weeks when the baby is born, 24/7.
Yeah.
Have men take advantage of work from home
Mm-hmm.
to be there for the management of the household. Get your companies to offer childcare,
Mm-hmm.
offer, whatever the company can do. So there's a lot that we can hold ourselves accountable to, our partners accountable to,
Mm-hmm.
and the folks within which we work, we hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an excellent note to end on, accountability. Yeah, it is. It is. Thanks for sharing. But before we go, though, for somebody who's listening who would like a copy of your book, how do they get that book?
Amazon.com. I have it on Amazon. And again, it's called Emotional Labor: Why a Woman's Work is Never Done and What to Do About It.
Thanks so much for sharing, Regina.
Thank you, Noreen.
This was Make It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people. Until next time.
Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers.